Everybody, Creative Katie, Karen Burchill. Welcome to my studio. In today's video, I'm going to share with you why I love mixed media. I've been doing it for 8 to 10 years and I still love it. So I'm starting with a 9 by 12 Canson mixed media art journal page. I have given it a coat of gesso to prime it, and I'm getting ready to put my base coat on. I love mixed media because it allows me to explore with colors and play with whatever colors I can grab and put down. You can just have fun. There are no rules in mixed media, or if there are, you can easily break them. So here I'm adding yellow. I picked a blue, although I'm not really fond of that blue, but you know what? In mixed media, all that means is just add one more layer. And then I'm putting some green here. I want to create a background, kind of a nighttime background for the focal image that I have shown. Sometimes in mixed media, you know where you're going, you know what your focal image is. Sometimes you're just creating backgrounds and the rest will evolve. Mixed media, I love that the page sometimes dictates where you go with it. I'm adding some Prussian blue here to add some of that deep hues, get some more contrast and more drama into my background. I've grabbed this stencil. This, I believe, is Screen View, and it is the 12 by 12 version. I have both the 6-inch version and the 12 by 12. I love it because it is such a good neutral one. It goes on any art journal page. I'm putting some of that Prussian blue through it just to add a few more bits of interest in there. You can grab any stencil, you can grab any stamp. And that's one of the other reasons I like mixed media. You're not limited to one medium. You can use pastels and acrylic paints and watercolors and ink tints blocks and markers. You can really maximize all the things that you have in your stash. Here are some stamps that I've created using fun foam, and I'm just brayering on white acrylic paint and I'm stamping that on there. Just getting some pattern, some movement, just mix and match. I'm going for a winter time scene, and I'm thinking this shape that I have on these stamps will work. Another reason I like mixed media is because you can make your own stamps and stencils and things for it. They don't have to be so perfect. In fact, the more imperfect they are, the more original your art is. I'll link the video where I make these DIY stamps. You're going to want to try that. So I'm cleaning that off. And then I'm grabbing this wreath stencil from the Crafter's Workshop, and I got burnt sienna there. And I'm choosing to put a little bit of burnt sienna in the background because my focal image has some of that in it. And I want to tie it in. I like mixed media or love mixed media because it challenges me to look at a napkin or a focal image and draw the colors, try to match the colors with what I have. It's all about problem solving. You get so far and it's like, okay, what do I need to add next? I need to add movement, contrast. So you're solving problems as you go. And I like that. Here I'm edging my page with black. This is what I usually do when I get to a stage where I'm thinking, am I done? I'm not liking some of that white. It's a little too much forward, so I'm just putting a little coat of blue on it, and then I'm adding white. But I'm adding something in a smaller scale. This is hole punch stencil from the Crafter's Workshop. And I'm adding that on, and as I'm going, I'm realizing that it's making it look like wintertime when the lights are sparkling outside, flickering off the snow. And I'm really liking what happened here. Was it planned? A little. Was it a happy accident? A little. So I'm adding that and I'm just loving the look. Now here's the napkin. This is called Gingerbread House. And I'm cutting out one of the panels. You get 4 identical ones. And I'm going to use this napkin as well. And it's called Gingerbread Cookies. And I'm going to mix and match, which is another reason I love mixed media, because you can take different focal images from printables and napkins and magazines and make it all work together. I've peeled off the excess ply of the napkin, and you'll know if I glued it down, all that darkness from the background is going to come through. So I'm going to put this on, I'm going to iron it onto my iron decoupage sheet. I'll link that video where I make that. Unfortunately, the footage where I iron this down got lost. Well, got lost. I forgot to press record. So I'm cutting out a few of these gingerbread man, peeling off the backings and lining it up on the iron decoupage sheet. There's glue on that sheet, and when I iron it, it reactivates the glue and gets rid of all the wrinkles, and it makes the focal image a little bit more sturdy, easy to cut out. I'm thinking here I've got some footage in the wrong place. So here I'm playing with the composition a little bit before I do iron it on to the iron decoupage sheet. I just wanted to make sure that I had enough of the little gingerbread men. Speaking of those gingerbread men, they are the perfect size. These are the 4-inch wood rounds that I have. I'm going to take some of these and turn them into either coasters and or Christmas ornaments. So once I've ironed it on and it's cooled, I am easily just fussy cutting out the focal images. And no, I'm not going to make you watch the whole thing of all the cutting, but I want you to see how easy it is now to cut out as opposed to cutting out that napkin when it's so flimsy. So again, I'm playing with the final composition and I decide that I need to add a snow put some snow on the ground for to set off my house and my gingerbread man. So I grab my Stabilo white all pencil and I'm just drawing in the line, giving myself just a line of where I want the white to go. There are my gingerbread men. So you can see why I put burnt sienna into the background because it's part of that gingerbread house and it just echoes it. There's also some of that yellow Naples yellow in the gingerbread house, and I've put a bit of it in the sky. That wasn't by accident. That was by design because I want to bring out the colors that are in my focal image into my background. I'm just using a makeup sponge here to put on paint and give myself a snowy ground. I'm going to give that a little bit of a heat to dry it. And then I'm adding another layer. I wanted a little bit more opaque white. Why am I using a makeup sponge? Because it was right there. I could have used the brush, I could have used my fingers, and at different times I do all those things. Mixed media allows you to just go with the flow. I wanted that screen view that I put with Prussian blue earlier. I wanted to bring that down into the snowbanks. So I have a little bit of that Prussian blue on my makeup sponge, not much, but I'm pressing it. I'm getting a little bit some areas darker, some areas light. It's more like shadows and interest in the snow. Another reason I love mixed media, it allows me to experiment. And if you're doing it on an art journal page, it's paper and paint. If it doesn't work, you've learned something, but you've tried it. There's so many different techniques, so many different ways of doing things. It's just very interesting. So even after 9 years, 10 years, I'm not bored with it. Here I'm gluing this down with my matte gel medium. It's a Liquitex brand. Actually, no, it's the Crafter's Workshop brand. Sorry. And then I'm gluing down my gingerbread men. And I like how those gingerbread men are really standing out on this white snow base. So now I've come to the point in the video where I do what I call overpainting. I'm using acrylic paints, although I sometimes use my Inktense blocks, and I am thinning it down a little bit, adding a little bit of gesso, and basically giving the focal images or the parts of the focal image that I want a wash of color. This deepens the color, brightens it, helps the focal image stand out against the background, especially when I've got this dark um, background here. I want the focal image to be the focal image. I don't want my background, as lovely as it is, to overtake it. I'm just adding a little bit, and I've mixed burnt sienna and burnt umber and some yellow, cadmium yellow. I've just mixed the paint and tried to match it to what's on the napkin, but I'm not overly concerned that it's exact because if you're looking at my art journal page, you don't have the napkin right there, so there will be no comparison. I deepened the green on the little trees by the house because they were just totally lost. And as I'm doing this, I'm thinking, okay, how much do I want to do? Here I'm adding, whitening and brightening the snow on the gingerbread house. I want that to look so much brighter. I want it to look like real snow. And again, I'm not being overly careful about making it exactly what was on the napkin. There were some candies poking through the gingerbread house, and I decided I'm just going to change that and turn this all completely white. So I am giving this a couple coats of white acrylic paint, and I'm really wanting to brighten it. And hopefully you can see what the additions of the color and this white does in making that focal image stand out. Then I grab my fine line applicator bottle and I'm adding some of the line work on the house and then, yes, on the gingerbread man. This is acrylic paint that has been thinned down. It's ever so slightly, um, there's adding a little bit of texture. And I'm filling this in so I get that drippy type look. I want to get it look like the icing is dripping. So when I start, I never know how much I'm going to do. I just kind of make those decisions as I go. And often one thing leads to another. Once I decided to do the gingerbread house and the gingerbread man, I went on Pinterest and searched for gingerbread house, gingerbread man sayings and sentiments. And I typed a bunch out on my Word program and printed them out. So I have a few ideas about what sentiment I'm going to put on here. I usually type out more than I'm going to use, and what I don't use just goes into my stash. The ones that I show today aren't part of the digital sentiment packs that I sell through Ninny's Napkins. But if you're interested in sentiment packs, you can go to the link to Ninny's Napkins in the description box and go and check them out. Maybe there's a theme there that you think you'll use on your art journaling mixed media. So I've added the color on the bows. I've used my stylus to um, give the buttons on the gingerbread to make it stand out a little bit more. Here I'm adding red to the bows, the bow tie and the bow in her hair. And then I'm adding some red bulbs on the tree. I'm making it my own. So even in mixed media, even though you're using focal images from napkins or magazines, you have the opportunity to make it your own, add things, change it up, and be creative. I had left part of the napkin underneath and it was dark and it wasn't that white and bright of the snow. So here I'm just taking my white acrylic paint and just making it a little bit whiter. It was kind of a gray haze. And then I got the idea, what if I put some modeling paste and made it 3D snow? So I grabbed my palette knife and I'm just adding bits of snow on the ground. And so it's all 3D. Now, my modeling paste isn't exactly pure white. So I did off camera go in and add white paint on top of it once it dried to make it a little bit whiter than it was coming out of the jar. But that could vary depending on the modeling paste um, brand that you use. Here I'm adding for that icing, I'm basically icing my gingerbread house here with modeling paste. I'm using the Crafters Workshop brand here, and I'm trying to texturize. So it gives that 3D effect. This would look really nice on a canvas or on a wood panel. I was kind of hemming and hawing whether I was going to do this on an art journal page, but I was unsure. So I wasn't sure I wanted to put it on a panel. I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out. But now that I've experimented on an art journal page, I have more napkin, more focal images, and I can recreate this, applying what I've learned onto a canvas and add it to my Christmas, winter home decor, or gift it to someone. So here I'm taking my angle brush and my black paint and I'm shading around the focal image in hopes of making it stand out. Again, I'm following pretty much what the artist had there, just tweaking it just a little bit. But I don't get too precious about it. I have not taken any art classes, art theory. I don't know the proper technique or for shading. I just do what looks good. And then I'm shading on the gingerbread man as well. I do go and I make a path from the door to the gingerbread and the walkway for the gingerbread man. And you'll see that in the final pictures. But I think that just either the camera stopped working or again, maybe I forgot to put record. So here are a couple of the sentiments that I got. Baking spirits bright. I thought that would be cute. And I found a font on my word program that was bold that I like. And then I found this one, Sugar and Spice, make the holidays nice. But I typed out about four or five different ones and just cutting them up. Life is short. Eat the cookies. So if I make this into cards or into ornaments, I might use these. I'll shrink them down. That's the joy of the digital sentiments. You can, with your word program, change the size to match whatever project size you're working on. Again, I'm gluing this down with my fluid matte medium, and I'll give that a good dry. And then I grab my charcoal pencil and I'm shading around my sentiment to make it stand out. Why am I not using my angle brush like I shaded everything else? This was on my counter, and I wanted to show you that there are more than one way to doing something. You don't need all the products. There are ways of achieving the same goal without in different ways using different materials. And that's one of the reasons I like mixed media. So there's the pathway. Just add a little holiday sparkle. I splattered it with thin gold paint. So once it's got that sparkle, we are at the end, and there is the finished project. I love how the focal image stands out. I love the deepness and the interest in the background, the how the colors work together. So do you like mixed media? Let me know why you like mixed media in the description box below. There are close-ups of the finished project. Until next time, go get creative.